Greetings, Commanders, and welcome back to the Legend of the Stars Championship for 2017. It is exciting. We are finally at the apex of the year, and we have just completed day one, so we're going to go back and recap all of the matches, starting with Group A. So we earlier covered Zoc taking on Bravo, where Zoc got a couple of points. Let's have a look at the standings after that. Well, yes, we shall look at that in just a second. But first, let's thank Legend of the Stars for sponsoring this tournament. He has put up the $500 prize pool, which is very much appreciated, and it has attracted the top talent out of the woodwork. We've got a few very strong contenders. After the round robin matches today, we will be down to just 8, I believe, contenders for tomorrow's elimination tournament. So without any further ado, let's have a look at Group A. We can see there that Zoc has picked up a couple of points at the expense of Bravo. Big Priamism and Farmsletje still to play. That is what we have got coming right up. So, hold on to your hats and get ready for some action on Goodlands, because we've got Farmsletje and Big Priamism, who's actually achieved Jaguar. They are coming right up. And here we go. Actually, this is Badlands, not Goodlands. What was that intro? Never mind, just pretend that that said Badlands. Alright, let's go and have a look at the top. Our lovely achieved Jaguar in his regular colour, even though his name is not his regular name, but we'll forgive him for that because you can rename in Forge Lasts Forever. In any case, he has opted for the Aeon faction this time around. We can see he's going for a single land factory. He's getting a couple of power generators up and running. That'll stand him in good stead to pick up all of this reclaim and get his eco up and running. Down in the bottom, his opponent going UF, we have Farmsletje. He's got his first land factory down. We can see there's actually a triple power gen build planned for him, and he's got a second land factory to come after that. He will head out with a engineer to that hydro, just like we're seeing with the Chief Jaguar up in the north. It is always critical to grab that hydro really quickly, representing 100 power compared to just the 20 that a Tech 1 power generator creates. Always good to have in your back pocket. So it looks like Achieved is going to send 2 engineers to get that built a little bit faster. And how does that compare? Well, exactly the same. So apart from the factions, these guys doing a little bit of a mirror matchup so far in this game. Alright, let's have a look at the progress in the north. We finally have a bit of combat capability out there as a flare. That is a light assault bot for Aeon. He's going to head down to this expansion over here. He's going to bypass it though because he's expecting the ACU to arrive at some point. There's no point in trying to take that on with a flare, but if he can skip ahead and get down into the back here, he can cause all sorts of mischief by scooting around the back and taking out all of these vulnerable mixers, which will have presumably an engineer out building them, just not yet. So we've got a counter mech marine, the same kind of light assault bot coming up from Farmsletje. He is going to try and do similar things, I would suspect. He's going to try and pick up an engineer that is going to be out on these mixers and this hydro as well. It is not the usual meta to have the ACU out this side of your expansion. Typically your ACU is going to head out to this side with the much increased mass availability, and that leaves it up to engineers to get in here and build this. But it looks like a sneaky scout out there for Chief Jaguar has picked it up on radar, so he will be aware. He is trying to chase that down with an Aurora. It's a little bit slow. It won't have a great job of catching that mech marine. However, it will be able to keep the engineers alive should they head out to that expansion. The flare down the bottom has completely missed a good target there. Unfortunately, no radar coming along with that guy, so he has missed out on the opportunity to take out an engineer that is going to head in here and grab those couple of mixers. That is exactly what he was trying to pick up with that flare, but unfortunately not quite working. The Mech Marine is performing all sorts of little games and runarounds up the top here, just trying to stay away from the Auroras that are chasing it. I'm not sure that he's going to get away from this. He's got Auroras on the left of him, Auroras on the right of him. He's not going to be able to escape this little canyon. This will do, well, that is an interesting camera view. It will not be able to escape out of there. We can see Achieved homing in on his target. It is a lot of firepower to deal with one little Mech Marine, but obviously Achieved Jaguar feels it is worth it. Down the bottom though, he has thought twice about what to do with that flare. He's figured he's probably missed out on the engineer that was coming this way. He's taken a turnaround to have another look, and sure enough, there is an Engie that he can start to pick up. A reaction there from Farmsletje means that he will maybe be able to save that engineer as long as the flare doesn't scoot in too close behind, but that is inevitable at this point, and the reclaim order goes out. It is too late to save the engineer. So that is the end of that bit of build power, and the little flare there survives to fight another day. We do have a preemptive striker over this side of the map here from Farmsletje, but it will run smack into the commander if it heads off to the left. He really needs to be continuing up around the back of the base, where he's actually already got another striker sitting there ready for denial. Unfortunately, just missing the engineer that is present, so he really could do with a little bit more radar coverage. Let's have a quick check of the range on that. The engineer is just out of range, so that is going to keep it alive for Achieved Jaguar. We have got a striker trying to chase down this flare down the back here. It's still going. It's not going to be able to catch it, but I think there's probably going to be a few units around this side of the map which is going to shut it down and prevent it from being able to actually pick up any more units. But still, a early denial on these mixes over here is just a slight impediment to Farmsletje's economy. Talking about economy, with both these guys sitting in the, well, they were bouncing around a little bit. 41, 45 seems to be the current scoreboard indication, but it is bouncing around a bit. Perhaps there is a bit of power trouble. Yes, there sure is a bit of power trouble there on Farmsletje's side of the map. He really needs to get that under control. Looks like he might just be starting to do that, but that has let an incursion roll on in. These Auroras intent on doing a bit of damage. They are taking out the strikers at huge range because they do outgun those guys when they have got that range advantage, as long as they have radar, and they actually have run out of radar. So the low HP on those Auroras not going to serve them too well, and down goes that raid. Just a single mass extractor which will be rebuilt very, very soon. In terms of the air game, this is looking reasonably even, maybe a slight advantage to Farmsletje down the bottom, but neither of these guys really trying to push too hard with the interceptor count. Just at the moment, there are no bombers to speak of. No one has gone for a bit of early cheeky bomber play, so not a huge necessity for either player to dominate in the skies right now. We do have Achieved finally getting across and securing the last of his eco across the 4 main expansions. Farmsletje looks to have had that for quite some time, save of course these couple of mixes down the back, given the raiding flare that just slowed him down a little bit. Farmsletje getting in here as well. There is a bunch of reclaim that we can see that he will probably head for with that engineer. If he can scoop up some of that, that will add a little bit more to his coffers and help him out quite significantly. But it looks like he's already on the T2 economy stage, because we've got a Tech 2 mass pump there and another one there, so he's already got a couple of those guys up and running, and he's got 69 mass per tick. But Achieved Jaguar not having a bar of it. He is keeping pace. He's on 63 mass per tick, so he is not going to be left behind. He will be aware of the upgrades that's happening down there on Farmsletje's side of the map, and he's going to be trying to keep pace with that. A bit of action in the center here. He is, well, Farmsletje is having to defend against a little bit of an Aurora push from Achieved Jaguar. Those Auroras absolutely fantastic at range, but as soon as you can push right up and get in their face, the tankiness of the strikers will dominate, and that is what we're seeing. Achieved having to pull back, but he has got a whole lot of reinforcements rolling in as well. They are not too far away from joining the fray, so Farmsletje's turn to back on out of there, and he will lose not too many strikers and just make Achieve Jaguar think twice about pushing all the way in there. On the right hand side, Achieved is in a fairly strong position. He's got a good number of Auroras, but Farmsletje is bringing up reinforcements to bolster the area. We've got a radar going down as well. That'll be good for Farmsletje to be able to keep an eye on those units. And Farms has also put a drop. No, I think there was an edge build, because it's right there on the nape of the cliff. That means that he will be able to secure those 2 mass extractors, and he's also gone for these ones as well. So that was 4 mass extractors, which, if ignored by Achieve Jaguar, could make just that bit of difference in the eco stakes to give Farmsletje the edge. He is sitting on just a 5 mass per tick advantage. Well, maybe even just a couple, depending on when you look at the scoreboard. So very even in that eco game. Just going to have a quick look at the interceptor counts for these guys to see who would win in an engagement, to save any excuses for poor micro. We've got 20 interceptors there for Farmsletje, and on the side for Achieve Jaguar 19, so very even. These guys again just keeping pace. Things are shaping up to be a pretty even battle. But what is this? A string of Tech 1 bombers. Those interceptors are going to have to come into play now for Farmsletje. They are going to need to save all of the HP on those Auroras. Farm's just a little bit slow to react. The guys are finally off the ground and they're heading in, but there is a whole ton of interceptors there to defend for Achieve Jaguar. They are going to absolutely wreck the couple of interceptors in the area. In comes the main bulk of Farmsletje's forces. A reasonably tight turn there for Farmsletje, is going to keep him firing. But it's looking still very even. I feel like Farmsletje is just going to come out on top with that extra little bit of micro. There we go. He is managing to dispatch the last of those interceptors, and that will shut down that Tech 1 bomber play as soon as he can get over and finish off the last couple of bombers, now that Farmsletje has got air control. A fairly serious engagement brewing in the center here. A big push from Achieve Jaguar rolling on in. He's trying to kite with the range on those Auroras. The main guns on those things with their extra range doing fantastic amounts of damage, but we do have a pillar in the mix now, so that is the first pillar we've seen online for Farmsletje. He's got his Tech 2, there we go, Tech 2 HQ back here in the center of his base. He's also got 1.5 Tech 2 power generators as well, so that's going to be absolutely fantastic for his air game. But those pillars, he is going to spam those and spam them hard. That will be the name of the game. And what is Achieve Jaguar going to do to try and counter that? The Aeon have the Obsidian, which has got very high alpha damage and a shield, but still the pillar spam will be reasonably hard to keep up with if Farmsletje can just keep pumping those guys out. What is this? A nano repair on Farmsletje. That is interesting. He is going to go full commander upgrade. So he's going nano and gun. Looks like we're in for a bit of a treat with an aggressive UEF gun comm for Achieve Jaguar to try and deal with. Achieved, of course, can get that double gun upgrade on his ACU, get the fantastic range of the Aeon gun comm. But still, the tankiness of the UEF comm coupled with that nano repair, that could be pretty difficult to deal with, especially now that he's got an ample supply of power so he can overcharge all day. We have got a pretty good number of pillars mixed in there now. Let's have a quick count up of those guys. There are 17 pillars, so there is a pretty big effort being put in from Farmsletje to get those guys out. Are we seeing any Tech 2 here from the Aeon player? Well, no, we are skipping Tech 2. We're going straight for Harbingers, as is the meta. That is not surprising at all. So we've got a first Harbinger out now from Achieve Jaguar. Those guys are very quick. If they can get into the back of the base, they will be able to cause all sorts of havoc, as long as Farmsletje doesn't get up to T3 and get his Percivals out, which will be able to wreck those Harbingers. But what have we got here? A Tech 3 factory with a Percival being built. That is not going to be very good for the Harbingers coming his way. Achieve Jaguar looking very serious about this push in the center, but still it's consisting mainly of Tech 1 units, just those Auroras. They do not have the tank to be able to withstand the massive amount of HP on the pillars. as soon as the pillars get into range, they will absolutely wreck all of those Auroras. Let's have a quick look at the eco game, and it looks like Farmsletje is running away with it. 129 mass per tick, and that compares to 95 for a Chief Jaguar. That is a pretty serious difference, and that's going to let him pump Percival's out all day. In fact, I think the first one must be out by now. No, he's still getting that one completed, so just taking a little while to get those Percivals off the production line, especially given that those Harbingers are already on the field. But it looks like a Chief Jaguar is not making really good use of those. Instead of zooming around the back and causing all sorts of havoc, he is just sitting there wasting power by having a shield which is doing absolutely nothing. We can see those Auroras did come into contact with those pillars, and as predicted, they got absolutely shredded. We can see the fantastic range on that. That must be a gun upgrade on that ACU. He must be matching Farmsletje knock for knock. But this is not going to work too well. As soon as a couple of Percivals turn up on the field, they will be at risk of being overcharged from a Chief Jaguar, but once you get a critical mass, those things are very, very difficult to stop. In comes that nano gun comm for Farmsletje. He is going to have a bit of a go at those Auroras, not really wanting to engage too much at the moment. We can see them all backing off into the distance while Farmsletje is just chilling in the canyon. Alright, we actually do have some Percies out on this side already. It looks like the T2 transport is probably how they got there, so that's going to secure this left-hand flank against a couple of Harbingers that were thinking about making a move through here, but two Percies, very difficult for them to deal with, so they will have to die instead. And we have a Triad, just a lone Triad. This is actually a very, very lightly defended area right now. Chief Jaguar could definitely push up through here, but I'm not sure how well that would work. He would have to be very careful not to get pinned down by a stack of Percivals, so he will have to make sure that commander stays nice and safe with so much firepower on the field. But we can see that one lone Triad just taking pot shots at the incoming Aeon units, just doing a little bit of damage as it can as they come into range. Looks like Farmsletje is thinking about pushing up on the left-hand side. Well, no, actually cancel that. Instead, he's just going to build a wall across to prevent any incursions coming down. So that is a very clear message from Farmsletje that he doesn't want any action on that left-hand side. He's going to push everything to the center and maybe to the right as well, but it looks like he's probably intent on building walls over this side. He just hasn't been able to get the engineers out to the front line to get the wall constructed. Maybe he needs to contract Trump to get in there and build that wall. He's going to focus everything on the center here. He still is mainly looking at Tech 1 and Tech 2, really not letting any of the pillars waltz around the middle. He probably wants to get a few more of those online and in the center here so that he can push up. Once he's got those guys ready, he can push up. But again, not managing to complete this wall. The Harbingers come in and they put a stop to it. So he will have to bring the Percivals back again to defend. So we can see a defensive movement coming to the left there. Two Percies and a stack of Tech 1 and Tech 2. Those guys are all going to come across to the left to try and hit off this group fronted by a couple of Harbingers, which achieved his intent on getting around the back of the base and getting into all of these Tech 1 and Tech 2 mass extractors. Maybe try and take out a little bit of these as well if he can scoot around, get these nice juicy Tech 2 mass extractors down with some Harbingers. That would be very nice indeed. But while this is a slightly risky move given the lack of interceptors for Farmsletje in the area, but he's going to bring that gun comm in so that he can overcharge. And look at the curvature on that overcharge cannon. That is a very, very serious curveball that he's got there, but he is going to chase those Harbingers away with that gun comm. Achieved comm is still sitting over this side. It's kind of lacking things to do right now. He's just assisting building Tech 1 engineers. I'm not sure if that's the best use of an ACU, but there you go, that is an option. But what is this? There are Swift ones in the mix, so Chief Jaguar making use of that Tech 2 air factory and getting a whole lot of swift winds up. That's going to give him a pretty good handle on air power right now, because the Tech 1 interceptors are absolutely no match from them from Farmsletje. It won't be until farms get up to Tech 3 air, but I'm not sure that is going to happen in this game. I can't see. Well, actually, if the stalemate continues, it could definitely continue to Tech 3 air. We could see maybe even some strap bombers or some gunships or something ridiculous on a map like this. But here we go. There is a shield upgrade occurring now on this ACU for a Chief Jaguar. So he is thinking again about being a little bit more aggressive with that comm. A couple of drops up on these plateaus of Harbingers there have secured them for a Chief Jaguar, so that will swing a little bit more eco back in his favor. But looking at the scoreboard, we've got 215 mass per tick to Farmsletje and 133 to a Chief Jaguar. So right now, Achieved is just buying as much time as he can. What is Farmsletje's plan here? Where is he dumping all of that eco? It could be that he is putting it all into mass extractor upgrades. Must be, because he doesn't have a huge amount to show for it. And again, with the very, very risky play of getting that commander on board a transport, given the absolute huge number of swift winds that are hovering around the area, he was reasonably careful, I assume, to not get caught out there. We have got some Spectres out for a Chief Jaguar, trying to make use of that air dominance, but he has left all of the interceptors at home at the moment. Those Spectres will go down to the few Tech 1 interceptors still available to Farmsletje at this point, and Farms is also shutting down that Harbinger push around the left hand side. We can see that Percival there getting some more points towards his veterancy through killing Harbies. How many Percivals are we looking at the moment? Let's have a quick count up of what Farmsletje has. He has got a total of 14 Percivals. If he can get all of those in one place, that is going to be crazy hard for a Chief Jaguar to stop. The alpha damage on that will kill the ACU in probably one hit. Well, actually, no, he's got the shield. As long as he can keep the shield up and running, as long as he has that power, then he will be able to survive all those hits from the Percies. But well, he needs to make sure that shield stays up. Let's have a quick look at his eco and see how he is doing. Well, he is not doing fantastically well, bottoming out on power there and completely broke on mass. But what is this? He's putting out Serenity's Tech 3 mobile artillery to try and deal with these bands of Tech 2 and Tech 3 units that Farmsletje has got hovering around the place. And he's also going for another raid around this side, taking out the radar, trying to blind Farmsletje, give himself an opportunity to get in there. We've got a couple of Percivals moving across to the right to try and head those guys off. Those Percivals, though, very, very slow and lumbering. I can see why Farmsletje wanted to use transports to get them all around the place, but right now those mass extractors are actually going to come into range of the Harbingers, and it's probably going to die before the Percies can do anything about it. We can see the first one just going down there, the second one starting to take some fire, although the factory there is actually shielding it from the brunt of the Harbinger fire. Now the Percies are in range, but still they've got a catch-up game to try and get after these very, very fast Harbingers. I will think he needs a transport or something different to try and catch that Harvey, unless of course the Chief forgets about it and lets it get trapped. A pretty serious push from Farmsletje up the left and the middle. Now we can see all of those rounds from the Percival slamming into the army for a Chief Jaguar. Sniper bots on the other side pounding away, trying to do as much damage as they can, but Farmsletje's bought shields as well. Those mobile shields just adding a bit more HP to every single unit that hides under them, making them a bit more survivable. Meanwhile, though, the Percival's just pounding out at range and doing as much damage as they can. Looks like Farmsletje is a little scared of those sniper bots, though. He is just going to bring that army back. He's not confident that he can push through, which is maybe a good call given the speed of those Percivals and how quickly the sniper bots and Harbingers can maneuver around them. The right hand side looking very, very vacant again. Both players have pulled units across to the center to fend off that large engagement that just happened. What is the game plan now? Farmsletje at 283 mass per tick. This is just insane amounts of mass for a 1 versus 1 matchup. We are talking about being able to put experimentals together very, very shortly. In fact, I would be surprised in a regular ladder game if they hadn't already got some kind of tech for planned by the time they get to this level of eco. Let's just check Achieved Jaguar, see if he has got anything planned in terms of experimentals. Well, actually we saw his eco just before, and that is still in a little bit of a bad place. There we go. He has very little mass to speak of, so he would have to sacrifice unit production for a good long while to be able to get a Galactic Colossus up. That is going to be a problem for him. Farmsletje, though, with a little bit more of a buffer there, we can see that he could throw some of that into an experimental if he wanted to. They could probably pour approximately equal amounts of mass into the front lines, while Farms still is able to build a fat boy in the background. The aggressive ACU is coming up the right-hand side. Farms will have to be careful of the sniper bots, though, because those guys have got a heck of a lot of range, and they can pound away at the ACU at a good distance. He does have the shield. He's got mobile shields as well for extra survivability, but he does not have good air control, and he does not have anything that can deal with the range of the sniper bots and artillery. Where are the sniper bots? It looks like they're all shifted across to the left, what's left of them anyway, to fend off this push here, which has gone reasonably well for Achieved Jaguar. It has dumped a ton of mass back on the doorstep of him. He will be able to put some NGs out to scoop up some more of that, and that'll help his eco out a little bit. So what he is missing in generated eco, he is probably making up for in terms of reclaim. All of the action is happening on the front lines at the moment. Achieved is getting pounded. His front lines are getting harassed by these units from Farmsletje, but all that means is that if Farmsletje can't break through, that's just more reclaim for the coffers. We can see more use of the transports there from Farmsletje, getting the Percivals right to the front line. That'll be a nice little boost for this army. 3 more Percivals right where he wants them. That's going to be a lot more firepower. We can see them one-shotting that Harbinger. Very nicely done. And they're going to start moving forward, and defense is definitely required now for Achieved Jaguar. We can see some emergency tech 2-point defense has gone up, but the tankiness of these Percivals is very, very difficult to deal with. Farmsletje just moving them across to the left, trying to stay out of range of these Harbingers, but every time those bolts come in from the Percivals, they do huge amounts of damage to those Harbies, and we can see those guys going down pretty quickly. Wow, that is just down to a single Harbinger at the front of that army, that pack being completely obliterated. But the army here for Farmsletje getting pounded from all sides, that is taking huge amounts of damage, and every time one of those Percies go down, that's 1,000 mass that he's leaving on the doorstep of Achieved Jaguar. So that is a failed push and a ton of reclaim, and it looks like he is giving up on the right hand side as well. The ACU hanging back a little bit, and all these units giving up. They are just not quite strong enough to punch through. Farmsletje trying to save what's left of this incursion force over here, but they are taking a ton of fire. There are, what, 3-4 Percivals left in there. They will be able to do a lot of damage, but they're still going to leave a bit more reclaim. Look at this guy not managing to make it home, and just turn into another 1,016 mass for Achieved to pick up, because Achieved is definitely still very much in control of that area. Fortunately for Farms, he has managed to get right up into the middle here, where there is a definite lack of units. There are 3 Percivals. They will be able to take out the 1 Harbinger that's trying to kill them pretty easily. But now, what is this? We've got artillery fire coming back onto them. Farms probably needs to keep those guys moving. 2 of those Percivals just about dead. The 3rd one is going to be under very, very heavy sustained fire very quickly. It looks like a couple of air factories with a target for that, but nothing critical at all. It would have been very, very handy for Farmsletje if he was able to get in there and take out some power generators. Where are the power gens for Achieve? We've got 1 Tech 3 gen over there, and I think we've got a few more over this side. What are we looking at? No, looks like he is running off a single Tech 3 gen at the moment. If Farms had been able to take that out, that would have been absolutely brutal on the eco of Achieved Jaguar. But that's not what happened. Achieved successfully fended it off, and look at all the reclaim he now has access to. If we look at the scoreboard, let's just check the energy income, and yeah, there we have just 5.9k power income for Achieved Jaguar, so definitely not at the stage where he can be spamming Tech 3 air. But look at Farmsletje up on 18,000 mass per tick, and he is spamming out ASF. And there we go, there is the construction laid down for the Fat Boy. It is already about 60-70% complete. That's not too far away. As long as Farms can hold off for the remainder of that build, he will then be able to reach out and do all sorts of damage to this army for Achieved Jaguar at range. And I don't know what Achieved is going to be able to do to match it. He could build some tac missile launchers. Those things are very effective against Fat Boys with the big bubble shield, making them a very easy target. He does not have air control any longer, I would suspect. Let's just have a quick count up of those ASF numbers. We have got just a dozen ASF so far, and we've got 50 Tech 1 interceptors over here for Achieved Jaguar. How many swift wins has he got? Well, 16. So the advantage definitely going to Farmsletje there with those ASF. A lone Percival taking on the marauding Aeon army there. I don't know quite what the plan with that one was, but it doesn't last very long at all, and we will be looking out for the Harvey reclaim. That's something we haven't talked about at all. The reclaim on these guys, they can pull up the mass of everything they just killed. That is hugely beneficial, especially in a case like that where you've just downed a Percival. You can get a bonus 1,000 mass just like that. You don't even have to get an engineer into the vicinity. Alright, we have got, was that a tac missile or was that a artillery round? I think it was artillery coming from this mobile artillery out here in the middle. Taken an absolute beating, but he's still going, trying to lay down some hurt on this army back here. And there we go, the Fat Boy has been completed. It's going to roll out towards the center and start laying down ranged fire on that army right away. Let's check out the range on this guy right here. We can see that red ring representing the main cannons. And now Achieved Jaguar will be starting to see that Fat Boy fire rolling in, and he will be aware. We can see the dodging happening from that Harbinger, but that gives Achieved Jaguar the heads up that there is indeed an experimental online and firing. Farmsletje just going to keep on at it. As long as he can keep that Fat Boy alive, he will be able to do a ton of damage and should be able to win the game. But if he makes a mistake with it and loses it, that's a heck of an investment that Achieved Jaguar has not had to make, which will, especially if the reclaim lands on Achieved's side of the map, give the massive advantage over to Achieved. Let's have a quick look at the total mass that these guys have pulled in. We've got 385k to Farmsletje to just 296 for Achieved Jaguar. That is a startling difference and just a testament to the power of that eco. Look at it, 643 mass per tick. We're talking full converted Tech 3 economies by this stage of the map. This is just absolutely ridiculous. Perhaps these guys have a pact that they won't kill each other until they reach absolutely ludicrous levels of economy. This is a nice move from Achieved Jaguar. He's bringing those Harbingers down the left-hand side where they are shielded from the Fat Boy by these big cliffs. You can see all that fire heading straight into the side of the cliff there from the Fat Boy. That's exactly what happens, and Achieved Jaguar can use that to effectively take the Fat Boy out of the fight and push up this left-hand side. He does have a huge number of Percivals to deal with, though. I don't think he's going to be too keen to try and take that on. What he will do is try and bring all of the sniper bots around this side and hit that Fat Boy at range. He will be trying to get in close enough, and if he can do that, he will be able to, if Farmsletje was to hug this wall and come up around the left here, then the Harbingers could just pop out with a surprise party for him and do a lot of damage. But hopefully Farmsletje is not going to be that silly. This is the championship after all, so hopefully he will keep that alive and keep it firing. I think what he really wants to be able to do is reach in here and take out that Tech 3 generator. If he can do that, that will be all kinds of fantastic for finishing this game. But I'm not sure how much closer he needs to get. Let's just have a quick look at the range on that fat boy again. Actually, he probably was in range before, but he did not focus fire the gen. He's been a lot more preoccupied with doing damage to the army. Unfortunately, the scattered rounds from the fat boy cannons there doing a lot of area damage, but not a huge amount of damage to each particular unit. It takes quite a bit of sustained fire from the fat boy to be able to impact an army like that, especially with these walls absorbing half of the fire that's coming out of that thing. The shield is completely down on the fat boy, though. He's being kept alive by these mobile shields at this point. How is that? What is the defensive tactic here from a Chief Jaguar? I am not seeing any tactical missiles that might be coming in. It must just be down to sniper bots and mobile artillery. What is this though? Another fat boy. This is getting ridiculous. He has capped or breached the 700 mass per tick mark. Look at all the Tech 3 mass extractors. That's just absolutely insane. And now there are two fat boys that Achieved is having to deal with. Is there a Galactic Colossus in the works for Achieved? That is what he really needs to get a Galactic Colossus surprise popping around the corner from a fat boy, and that will absolutely wreck it. And is that another fat boy notification? You've got to be kidding me. No, this is absolutely insane. We have got a Novax. Who builds a Novax in 1 versus 1? What is going on? But there we go. Finally, a Chief Jaguar responding with a experimental of his own. Where is that? Where has he built the damn thing? It's got to be hiding in here somewhere. I'm blind. Everyone looking at the screen right now will be saying, there it is, I can see it, but I cannot see it. There it is, I have finally seen it. Alright, there we go. It is coming up from the back. It will try and use the cover of those hills to get into range. But Farmsletje, what is this? The shield is down on this fat boy as well. The shield is up. Oh, that is the original fat boy. This is the new one here. It's still got a full shield, and he's just starting to lay some fire down there. Where is the Novax? What is going on? Why is the satellite... Where is it going? Ah, there we go. It's coming straight across here, and at this point, a Chief Jaguar will be seeing that and just absolutely face palming. There we go. There is a comment in chat there, looking at what what he is seeing. Yes, it is a Novax, and it looks like the target is going to be the Tech 3 Air Factory HQ. I would suggest probably the power might be a little bit of a better target. There are a whole lot more gens back here as well. If he could chain react those, that would be a very nice win for him in the eco game. But there we go, there is a strat bomber, so we are talking full T4 and T3 endgame on this map. Oh, this is insane. Alright, but we have got another bomb away from that strat bomber, just being taken out there by all of the AA. I managed to do a reasonable chunk of damage to that shield, but wow, it is an expensive way to do a little bit of damage to a shield. Alright, Farmsletje with another experimental. This is disgusting. This is a second Novax. He is going to build another quantum reactor, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he puts that 758 mass per tick into a third freaking Novax. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. Come on, guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is ludicrous levels of gameplay. How is the Novax faring over here? It is not really doing anything useful because the factory is being repaired by all of those engineers that are assisting it. So it is time to move that Novax away and try to find a slightly better target for it. What is this? What is it targeting? Artillery. It's targeting static artillery that's firing on his army and on his fat boys. Okay, well, this is not the kind of gameplay we were quite expecting from the 2017 championship. It feels a lot more like a silly, ridiculous cheese match. but it still counts. Alright, we have got the Galactic Colossus rolling on in. I'm not sure if he's aware just how many Percivals are in there. Look at the Fat Boy fire raining down on him. Look at all those Percival bolts. Every time they hit him, we can see that that HP bar dropping very, very quickly. He is going to turn tail and run. Look at all of those Harbinger wrecks that are popping up. That is not a very successful incursion at all for a Chief Jaguar. That was what he was hoping on to bust through, but it certainly has not happened. The Tech 1 bombers getting taken out as well. For some reason, there is just a stack of Tech 1 bombers at this stage in the game, just for fun, from Farmsletje. Down to 28,000 HP, or was that 38,000 HP on that Galactic Colossus. Still a huge number of Percies and a Fat Boy raining fire down upon him. This is a failed incursion. It will leave a lot of mass, which Farmsletje really doesn't need because he is approaching 800 mass per tick. Now we've got both Novax centers taking out a Tech 1 air factory and Tech 1 power generators. Okay, this is interesting strategy. Very interesting strategy. And there we go. Yes, the third Novax. The satellite is away. That will start to rain lasers down on this. But what is this? That is not a failed incursion at all. Farmsletje forgot to micro his Fat Boy. He let it get in range of those Harbingers. And now they have busted through all of those Percivals. That is a big mistake not moving that Fat Boy back. That is a real rookie move there from Farmsletje. He is just obviously way too busy spending all of the APM that it takes to upgrade your economy and build Novax centers. And again, we're seeing the Fat Boy moving very, very close to the incoming Harbingers. He really needs to back that up and play a little bit smarter. Even though he has got a stupid amount of mass, he can still be a little bit more clever about what he does with things. So what is he going to do? He's going to put down Ravagers. We've got a bank of 3 Ravagers so far. They're going to lay a whole lot of hurt down on those Harbingers. Oh my goodness. And what is this? There is a donut as well, full on cheese. I completely missed the build of that. The notification popped up and I didn't even check what it was, but it was a SAR. But unfortunately for a Chief Jaguar, there is just a huge amount of ASF online for Farmsletje, and they have just rocked up to that thing and taken it down. But there we go. There is a second Galactic Colossus coming on in to finish off the job, and still persisting with the Tech 1 bombers, laying down so much fire but so little damage. They are going to try and do their best, but what on earth is Farmsletje thinking, letting this all come through and still moving the Fat Boy towards the danger? He really needs to turn that thing around and back up out of there before it dies. No, Farmsletje, what are you doing? There we go. Finally, the move order goes down and he's going to back on up out of there. But meanwhile, these Tech 1 bombers still going at it. He's going to try and shut that down, but we've still got a whole lot more Harbingers coming through this gap here that has been ripped in Farmsletje's base. They're going to keep trying to do eco damage down to 599 mass per tick. That is huge. That's a massive impact on Farmsletje. He's going to have to resort to reclaim fairly soon. And look, he has let that Fat Boy get in range of the face laser of the Galactic Colossus. He loses the shield on it, and the Fat Boy and the Percivals just managed to take down the Colossus before the Fat Boy goes down too. Oh, and with all of that craziness going on, was that a snipe with the Novax, or was that a control kit? I think that was a snipe with 4 Novax centers on that ACU. Absolutely ridiculous gameplay. Wow. And there we have the first match between a Chief Jaguar and Farmsletje. It went down on Badlands, and wow, that was quite a match. I didn't really expect it to go that far, but these guys, not knowing any limits to the amount of cheese that they want to play. Right, that is the first game down. So that's going to put Farmsletje 1-0 up in this best of 3. Let's get that next game ready.